Okay, so this is
Merry Christmas, everyone. So I am here in Berlin, Germany, and I've been here a couple days, and it's been a really cool city. Currently, I'm standing in front of Brandenburg Gates. And so this was built in the 19th century, and it has become an icon of both Berlin and Germany. And it's a really cool place to come because this actually is one of the few structures in this area that predates World War II. This entire area would have been heavily damaged during the Battle of Berlin during World War II. And in fact, I'm going to show you a building real quick as soon as I walk through the gates that is a really important piece of history for World War II and just in general. So walking through the Brandenburg Gate, it is freezing cold and so windy. But walking over here is this building, and this is the Reichstag. So the Reichstag is the German Parliament building. And you'll notice it has a glass dome, and it didn't always have a glass dome. Back in the 1930s, Adolf Hitler was rising to power, and he was close to the top, but he wasn't there just yet. And so you had Hitler and the Nazi Party, and so Hitler saw his opportunity to seize power, and he took it. And so he allegedly, we don't know for sure, but we're pretty sure, Hitler sent some of his Nazi goons to go set fire to the Reichstag, and the building burned. So the Nazis burned the building down back in the 1930s. And this gave Hitler an excuse, because he was chancellor back then, if I remember correctly. This gave Hitler to declare a state of emergency, and from there he was able to consolidate all power and become the dictator that he is most famous for being. And from that fire led down the path to just a whole bunch of absolutely horrific things. The consolidation of power, the targeting of political enemies, anyone that was different or who opposed Hitler. This would ultimately lead to the Holocaust, where 6 million people were murdered simply because they were different. They were someone that Hitler didn't like. And it all started because this building got burned down back in the 1930s. And, Berlin itself is a really, truly interesting place to be, because it has either been witness to or at the heart of some of the biggest events of the 20th century. Because, Germany was blamed for World War I. They certainly started World War II. And even Berlin was a potential flashpoint for a possible World War III. Because after the Battle of Berlin, Soviet soldiers actually climbed to the top of the Reichstag there and were waving the Soviet flag. There's a very famous photo. Remind me and I'll show you. But afterwards, the city was divided up into different sections. And so you had East Germany and East Berlin, and West Germany and West Berlin. And it's basically the Americans controlled the West Berlin, and the Soviet Russians controlled the east side. And two totally different systems of life, and one was free, one was not. And they ended up building an entire wall through the city to prevent people from getting from one side to the other side. So that was the Berlin Wall. And the Berlin Wall lasted, it was like 100 miles long, 12 feet high, and it lasted for decades. The Berlin Wall did not fall until I was like a year old when the wall finally came down. And it was built, at the beginning of the Cold War. And so this is a really, really fascinating place to be, because there's so much history. And I really hope that you get to visit someday. But if you do make sure that you read up on World War II and the events thereafter, because otherwise you're going to miss out on a lot of stuff. Just walking down the street, you'll run into some really just cool things that you wouldn't otherwise know. So make sure you read up on some history. But I really do hope you make it to Germany one day. Germany is probably one of the easiest countries that I've been to. It's nice and relaxed. It's affordable. I can actually, it's cheap, and it's a really cool place, and I really hope that you get to visit it someday. So with that said, peace out. I'm gonna go warm up. I'm freezing. Peace.